So MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred continues to have himself an offseason, and by that I mean a really bad offseason. Nobody was more fired up about the NBA All-Star Game than Rob Manfred, because that meant the heat was off of him for a few hours. Now, he was hoping that people would keep Shaka Khan trending, or that there'd be a serious debate about Kawhi as the first winner of the MVP trophy, renamed in honor of Kobe Bryant. He wanted all that. Manfred probably has like 15 different burner accounts on Twitter trying to get a debate going about the game ending on free throws. Anything to get that spotlight, that heat, that pressure off of him. Because ever since he released the league's report on the Astros, the pressure itself has not diminished. It's increased, if anything. So much so that he sat down with Karl Ravech yesterday, and that didn't really help matters either. If anything, it made it even worse. Starting with this answer to the question of why the players involved, pretty much the question everybody wants answered. Why are the players involved not being punished? This guy just said that the players have paid a price. Exactly what price have the players paid? Sure, that press conference with Alex Bregman and Jose Altuve was awkward and tedious. Awkward. Then the other players meeting the media in the clubhouse didn't seem to be having all that much fun either. But do you really think that that's going to satisfy fans of opposing teams? Do you think that's going to satisfy the opposing teams themselves? Exactly how does that punishment fit that crime? Hell, exactly what is that punishment that he's talking about? Like, I see how the manager and the general manager were punished, but when Manfred says the players have paid a price, what the hell is he talking about? What price? Do you really think that the fans and the opposing players are going to say that they seem pretty uncomfortable in that 5-minute media session? Damn, that must have really stung. The commissioner really brought the hammer down. The commissioner really took a 2x4 to those cheaters. Yep, that's good enough for me. They paid the price. Case closed, water under the bridge. Let's let bygones be bygones. Let's keep moving. Yeah, I don't think so. In other words, look, I'd have loved to have done it, but we don't live in a perfect world. So let's just move on. Yeah, I don't think anybody's moving on, Commissioner. I don't think anybody is moving on except you and Jim Crane. That's not how the fans see this, right? They're going to see the only people who have been punished for the cheating scandal are 3 managers and a general manager. The players, the guys who benefited the most in terms of winning a World Series and having potentially artificially inflated stats, are getting off easy. And here's where we get to the brass tacks of it. Because Manfred explained that former Astros GM Jeff Luhnow did not communicate to the players about a league-wide memo in 2017 after the Red Sox had been caught. And since he didn't communicate to the players, the commissioner argues, the Players Association would appeal any punishment that came down on the players, and they would therefore win the appeal. Look, I understand what he's saying, but the fact that you couldn't make the discipline stick leads to the perception that the players got over, that they cheated, that they benefited, that they got a ring, and that nothing happened to them. No discipline, no punishment. In fact, it's not even a perception, it's a fact. It's true. At least in the scenario that Manfred describes, if you had handed down an initial punishment to the players, then you make them appeal it, and then if they win the appeal, so be it. But at least you tried. You tried, and you've given the fans the satisfaction that you did try, that it was not okay. And then you get the good PR from trying. And you make the players appeal and fight the nuance of whether or not they knew that banging on trash cans was cheating or not. Put it on them. Put it on the players. Make them argue that they didn't cheat. And then if you lose the grievance, you still won some goodwill because you tried to hold the cheaters accountable. Except that's not what he did, which is why the fans are so pissed, which is why opposing players are so pissed. Like, here's the thing. Manfred obviously thought there was no way any of the players, the Astro players, would say anything or roll on anybody unless they were guaranteed immunity. And they weren't going to be able to do an investigation without getting the players who cheated to talk. So they made a decision that an investigation with no punishment was better than an investigation with no content. All right, so I get that. But you can't expect the fans or the opposition to be happy about that, because they're not, and they won't be for a long time. And then there's one more thing. There's this notion of stripping the team of its title. I love how he gave himself credit at the end of that for having the intestinal fortitude to put that out there. Man, there's a whole hell of a lot in that answer, and none of it's good. Saying that no team has ever been stripped of a title before, and therefore you better have a good reason to do something that has never happened before, is a pretty weird way of arguing that a large, coordinated cheating scandal is not a good reason to strip a team of its title. His thing is, man, you better have a good reason if you do something that has never been done before. Well, that's a pretty good reason, don't you think? What a terrible argument. Because even though I said from the outset that Major League Baseball was not going to strip the Astros of the World Series, what is the precedent? The precedent now is you can have a coordinated cheating scandal that rips at the integrity of the game, and you still get to keep, quote, that piece of metal. If you can't or you won't punish the players, if you rip the title, that probably would go a long way to making fans and opposing players feel like something was done, they didn't get over, and a price was paid. And one more thought before I go to break. Do not come in here and celebrate your guts for releasing that report. That's your job. That doesn't take, quote, intestinal fortitude. Man, that's going to work and doing your job. That said, there is not a precedent for this. Yeah, well, unfortunately, there is, though, right? The precedent in baseball is, and there is a precedent, the precedent is guys cheat and guys get away with it. Cheaters don't get stripped of records or numbers or contracts. Hell, Barry Bonds allegedly cheated his way to his records. So did Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa and just about everybody else who played in that era. So now the real problem for baseball is this. Cheating works. Cheating pays. In fact, cheaters really haven't paid much of a price over the years at all. If anything, they get rewarded with bigger contracts. I've got another angle that I want to get to, and that's the fact that if these guys don't pay a price, Major League Baseball, the opposition, their peers, of course, will police their own and take matters into their own hands, which is why Dusty Baker's trying to get in front of this and saying, you better not have guys come headhunting on us.